ComaCloud again. I am also solo tonight. If you guys haven't noticed by now, every time I log into Warframe, you're gonna see, each day you're gonna see this little thing go by. Lets you choose one of these things to open, and it gives you rewards. Today it was 50 Endo. We'll also have milestones you can reach at 50 days, 100 days, etc. Give you everything from primed versions of mods, which we'll discuss later, to unique weapons that you can only get from the login rewards, to infinity boosters, to 75% of coupons for the marketplace. There's all kinds of things those can give you, and they're almost always worth getting. Now, if you guys remember, we had our clan key, our boltor, and our dual heat swords all building at the same time yesterday. We're going to go ahead and claim those right now. Clan key is going to allow us to find and access the clan dojo. Dual heat sword's that better melee weapon we wanted. And the boltor we'll come back to later, but that's an assault rifle. Alright. I'm not really going to mess with the clan dojo yet. I don't currently have the resources that are going to be required to build anything in it. So for right now, I'm going to kind of leave those alone. We are going to equip the dual heat swords. We're going to take a look. We only have 2 default mod capacity. There's really nothing we can do when we first get these weapons. So we're going to kind of leave that alone for the moment. Alright, we still have the Strun. This is a shotgun. Remember, I am a shotgun main. My teammates, some of them prefer other weapons. I prefer shotguns, so that's what I'm going to go with. I don't have any other mods for my shotgun yet. Shotgun mods are actually the most rare out of the weapon types to get mods for that I've noticed. From everything. Excuse me. From everything from regular mods all the way to the dual status mods, even Riven mods, which we'll touch on again when we get some of those. We are going to go ahead and replace our damaged version of Hornet Strike that we still hadn't upgraded with this undamaged version here, because that's going to be better. We're going to see if I can upgrade this by a few ranks as well, because the regular version of Hornet Strike is always worth upgrading. So we're going to upgrade that a bit. It increases it to, I think, like 60%. We'll double check that in just a moment. Yeah, plus 60% damage on the Hornet Strike for secondary weapons / pistols. They can be referred to either way in this game. It refers to them both ways sometimes. No idea why. We're going to see if we have any more Endo left to upgrade our vacuum with really quickly. If not, I'm not going to be too upset. Oh, we do have a little bit of Endo, so we're going to increase that to rank 2. We're going to bring it down here, and if you notice, that goes to 8.5 meters. As promised, it does increase the distance at which it will pick things up for you. Alright. Alright, so now just so you guys are aware of our loadout. Oh, not the market. I apologize. This cursor is new, so it's still getting used to it a little bit. We made the Strun, which is a shotgun. Secondary still is the Leto until we get something better, and our current melee weapons is the dual heat swords, and our Warframe is Excalibur. Excalibur's abilities, just for another brief overview for those of you who might have missed my first few streams and may not have watched them yet. Slash dash, which lets you basically leap forward and slash enemies with your Warframe's power, with the Exalted Blade even. And then if you kill the first enemy, it even can let you dash into a second or maybe a third enemy afterward. Radial Blind, which is an area of effect, small amount of damage, but mostly it creates a blind status on the enemies. That allows you to do a melee finisher move on them. Melee finishers moves do massive amounts more damage than a regular melee attack. Most enemies, your melee finisher will actually kill in one hit. Radial Javelin, which is an area effect damage. If you notice, it does 650 damage currently. I believe that's in radiation damage is what it equates to, but it's a huge amount of damage in an area around you, basically. The current number of javelins is 7. It means it can hit up to 7 enemies, and it's within a circle of 19.35 meters from your Warframe. An Exalted Blade drains enemy energy over time, rather than a single amount of energy one time like the rest of these abilities. Drains energy over time to summon a sword that deals heavy amounts of damage, currently 125 damage per time you swing it, and that damage can increase via a lot of ways that we'll discuss later. But it does heavy amounts of damage, drains your energy over time, and basically just gives you this fancy freaking sword you can run around with. Also, if you perform a spin attack, which we discussed in one of our last streams, with the Exalted Blade, it will cast Radio Blind for you automatically. It's kind of interesting. Now, as far as the star chart, if any of you guys watched my last stream, you would have remembered that we ended up on Mars. And also that we got some scanners. So we're going to go back to our arsenal. Sorry, I shouldn't have even exited it for this. And we're going to go to our gear. It says there's 2 available items right there to add to our gear. We're going to come here. These codex scanners, we're going to add those to our gear. Now, there's a glyph prism you can add if you want, but in my opinion, it's mostly useless. So I am not going to put that in my gear options. I'll show you how to access those at the beginning of the next map mission. We had just unlocked Mars. Our next junction, let me see, Mars, Relics, Mars, okay. This requires you to do something on Phobos, which means we have to unlock the Phobos junction before we unlock the Ceres junction. It's kind of logical that way, but some people might mess up and still try to target this junction instead. Please bear in mind you cannot open the Ceres junction first. It is absolutely impossible, so please don't set yourself up for failure by attempting it first. First what we're going to work on is the Phobos junction, and we're actually going to try to do those top 2 first, to do the Void Relics last. The top 2 can be done in various ways as we go through these nodes on Mars, so we're still going to attempt those first. The first one is an exterminate type mission, which should be somewhat easy, so we're going to try doing that right now. Guys, exterminate type mission, simply just go to the enemies, kill the enemies, make sure you don't get messed up by them. Pretty straightforward and simple for the most part. This entire planet is on Grineer tile sets, which means that you'll be fighting primarily Grineer enemies to the exclusion of almost all else. To view. So that means if you're looking for elemental damage type, you use Corrosive. Corrosive and Blast are the damage types I would typically go for against the Grineer. If you're that advanced, if you're not, like me, we don't currently have everything that we would like to start modifying those elemental types. So for the most part, we're just going with what we have for the moment. And it's a high amount of impact damage, which still isn't the best. Slash is probably my favorite out of, as far as just straight dealing damage out of the weapon damage types in this game.
They spotted you.
We have an alarm, so we're going to go ahead and turn that off really quickly. And as I said in one of my previous videos, guys, I do try to take the alarms a bit slower to give you an idea of exactly how they're done and what types of alarms, different types of alarms do and stuff like that. I had to adjust my aim slightly there. It was a little bit off when I very first targeted that particular enemy. Apologies for that. I do try to do these in a very efficient manner for you guys, whereas I normally might take my time a little bit more and do some other things. Given that I am limiting my segments time and stuff like that, I'm trying to do this a little bit more deliberately for the benefit of you guys watching. So. Now it's time to go ahead and take a look at how much more effective these dual heat swords are compared to our previous melee weapons. As you can see, these enemy levels are higher now. They're still taking them down pretty quickly. I'm going to go in energy channel, and as you can see, it's even faster. So they are, in general, much more effective than our previous choice. The Skana was the one we were stuck with, if you guys remember last time. So there, yep. Now, later on, I'm actually going to correct this since we're done with this mission. I need to make sure that I end up with my Thief's Wit mod that had a higher rank, because that's going to help us find these cephalent fragments that we need to scan on Mars. Especially since exterminate missions are a very good place to come and find them the majority of the time. That was an Arson Eximus. You could tell by the little fiery ring that he puts around your Warframe. He's also the one that creates that giant flame wall. You guys would have seen in one of my very first streams when we had to kill, I think it was Eximus on Earth, was the stream that was in, I believe, if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong, please post in comments, and I'll see about going and editing over this video and make sure that the correct answer is posted for you guys. I don't always have all of the answers because they do constantly update and change how things function in this game, but I typically have a vast majority of them. Nobody knows everything, but I know a fair bit about Warframe. If you guys do end up with any questions, comments, or things you need to see done in this game, please post it up. I'll make sure, if anything, that a video gets posted with my name on my personal account if I have to. Just blur over the name for you guys. So just please, if you have questions or comments or anything you need to see, go and just give me a shout out. And when the content, if it's content that's going to come out and hasn't released yet, I'll make sure to get on that when the content drops. And if it's something that content is already out for, I'll make sure it gets somebody from my team to decide as soon as possible for you guys, okay? If for whatever reason you feel that my content, any part of my content is unhelpful, please immediately let me know. The whole point of doing Warframe this way was to be helpful to newer players, so if you feel that it doesn't fulfill that role, please give me a shout out. I would appreciate it. Something that's interesting you can do, as long as you're not pushing any other directional buttons, then you can, while in the air, not when double jumping, but, oh Jesus, have to be high up enough in the air, but you can melee while in the air falling straight down, and you'll perform that slam attack there. In the middle of jumping, you perform that kind of double slash there, or when double jumping. This is a Morphic stabilizer. That's where you get Morphics, you guys. As well as getting it from enemy drops. You can get it directly from the Morphic stabilizers you find. Oh, Jesus. Ran out of ammo there. Deal some extra damage that way. Heavy gunners are much tougher than normal grenadier enemies. I feel that is important to note. In soloing these, you can take a calm, careful approach, especially since we still have Excalibur, which is not what we call an AoE frame, nor is he necessarily what we call a damage. Well, no, he is a damage frame to an extent, I suppose. But he's certainly not an AoE frame. Oh, so that is a cephalon fragment, you guys. These are things that you scan. Oh, to pull that menu up, you press down on your directional pad. You use your left sticks to select it, push square to equip it. You push your aim button, which is L2, to aim in on it. And you push your fire button, which is R2, to scan the item. And then to unequip it and go back to your regular weapon, you just pull the menu back up with down on your directional pad and push square on the item you equipped in the first place. And it will re-equip, in this case, the Strun, your primary weapon. You can also push your triangle button to change weapons, but that will revert back to your secondary weapon, as far as I know, and not your primary weapon. On radio javelin. The Strun is, in general, I feel like the most effective weapon to start with, and is a shotgun, which I prefer over assault rifles and other weapon types. My main weapon on my original account was the Arc of Plasmor, which is radiation type shotgun. Now if we can, we're actually going to avoid extraction here. See if it'll allow me to run off the side instead. Try not to get... Okay. Over here, you guys, there is a Curia. You see exactly where this thing was at. There it is. You scan these, and reading their things will give you a bit of the lore. That's it for that extermination mission. Not that hard, was it? I do make things look easy because of my mastery of the movement system, and I understand you guys may have a little bit tougher time than me with this. So if you guys need advice about clearing one of these missions, just let me know. I'll see what I can do to try to help you, give you advice and pointers and help you get through this stuff. We need to go to our Warframe, actually. Thieves' Wit, we need to upgrade that if we can. Oh, we can't do it that much. But it did increase it to 14 meters, so it's good enough for right now, I suppose. Especially since we don't currently have any aura mods to help boost that stuff. We haven't gone through any ascension ceremonies in the dojo or anything to help do that stuff. Oh, after I'm finished with this part, we're going to get to the Archwing quest next, because I feel like that's going to be an important thing to do. In general, it's definitely a solid quest. It's a bit of a pain, but we're going to get to that after we run through this series. We still need those Cephalon fragments, I believe. Yeah, we need 2 more Cephalon fragments on Mars. The next one's a defense type mission. So I'm going to change our matchmaking to public, even though I don't typically like to have to do things in teams. It's going to make the enemy spawns a lot greater and try to get us to that 150 kill mark that we need to do that. There might not be anybody else doing this mission right now as well. That's a possibility.
Operator, are you enjoying the view?
The enemy is at our doorstep. You must defend our equipment until reinforcements arrive.
Remember, guys, this is a defense type mission. You need to defend the target, make sure they don't blow it up, and kill the enemies each wave. Every 5 waves you survive will also give you an additional reward and give you a chance to extract as well. I usually would hang out for a full minute here, but I don't really have time for that. This particular tile set, they come heavily in from there and from there at the beginning. A little bit less so from the other 2 edges. Oh. Not very much danger to the cryopod at this point. You guys can see with single spin attack from his new dual heat swords is doing a lot more than that Scani ever used to do for us. It's a much better melee weapon in general. Caliber just ranked up again, which is really cool. This time all we got for the rank up was a shield capacity increase. Now I am going to primarily hug the center on these guys because otherwise you end up overextended too much in one direction and they're going to come from another direction and they're going to blow up the cryopod and that's going to make us fail the mission. As you guys did see actually in a FOPA on one of my previous streams that I did with my other teammates, Hunted and Beast. We had a player drop, and when the other player dropped, we were overextended in different directions, and the cryopod was destroyed. That's my cryopod, Mr. Grenier. As you guys can see, there's still not very much danger to the cryopod. Its health bar is right underneath the mini-map up there. And yours, just in case for whatever reason you can't seem to find it, is top right, very top right of the screen, has your shields and their health right there. Oh man. Sorry, but you can't have my cryopod. Grenier also dropped this deployable cover on occasion. These scorpions, they have, just as the ancients kind of can knock you down and pull you along, so can the scorpions, as well as having melee weapons of their own. Trying to let the cryopod recover a bit because it definitely got really drained that last wave. I feel like to get that 150 enemies, they either have to have some public matchmaking involved, or I may just have to come back with Hunted and Beast to perform that. It's very difficult to solo do this with the beginning frame like we have. You'd have to be able to predict enemy spawns perfectly. Shoot them as soon as they get in the area. It would be a hot mess trying to do all of that. So we may just have to come back with 100 Beast tomorrow, the next day, and clear this 150 enemy objective out. So for the remainder of today's streaming, we may just go ahead and do that Archwing quest. Go and unlock your first Archwing. Explain a little bit better what those are. There's a heavy gunner. What's funny about heavy gunners is they actually use one of the worst weapons in the game and they do a lot more damage with it than it does for a Warframe. It's kind of funny and ironic. We're gonna go to extract for now. Like I said, we'll come back to Mars at a later point in time. As you can see, the 5th wave reward was a Synthla. It's a type of material that time. This is where you find all the credits and other resource drops that you earn during the mission. You can also use those. You can open your options menu and go down to where it says View Mission Progress, and it will show you that in the middle of a mission as well. Alright, now we are going to stop on Mars. I promised you guys some Void Relic explanation. We're going to go and do that in the next segment. For this segment, we're going to start the Archwing quest, because we only have about between 5 and 10 minutes left in this segment. And what's this to do with fissures? For these, I'm going to end up doing the capture. We're not going to refine any relics or anything like that. We're just going to do the capture mission with an unrefined Lith relic. We're going to do it while we're on public, because you want other relics involved in the process. We're going to do it with this Lith C2 because we have the most of them, so it's a little bit more expendable to us. Now, as you guys no doubt are already aware from my other talks about Void Relics, being unrefined the way that it is means that we will have a much higher chance of getting the more common drops out of it than the rare drop or the uncommon drops. Basically, Void Fissures are for the most part very similar to other missions, except that they do spawn special types of enemies called corrupted enemies.
Somebody vital to enemy operations is here. Find them and capture them.
And you have to kill the corrupted enemies to get Void Reactant. See, Lotus is helping me explain right now. Actually, you have to collect 10 Reactant to actually open your Void Relic. There is another Cephalon fragment.
A Grineer assault team is headed your way. A Fisher. Defend yourself and use reactants to open relics.
It lagged a little bit, so I went ahead and manually re-equipped my main weapon. That was a reactant. It used to be that no matter whether you had a Sentinel or not, you had a directly walked over reactant. Nowadays, your Sentinel's vacuum will affect it, as well as you having your own personal vacuum. Warframe updated the game to include. You see a reactant right up there underneath the mini map, right next to where it shows your mission objective. That weapon firing right there is my favorite, the Arkham Plasmor. That's the weapon the other person is using. I absolutely hate them for it, but it's okay. It also needs to do more damage than me. Try to get ahead a little bit. Try to get in some kills of my own for the extra affinity gain. Next to your teammate's name, you can also see the amount of reactant that they've collected and see whether or not they've collected all 10. It's usually better to wait until everyone has 10 reactant before leaving, because if they don't open their relic, and they would have normally gotten a really good reward out of it, you lose access to have that reward if you leave before they crack their relic. As you can see, corrupted enemies are much harder than their regular counterparts to kill. And it can spawn higher tier enemies than normal missions in this area would, which can be a pain. What's funny is I have a brand new frame, and I'll probably still make it to extraction first. Yeah, like so. Like I said, guys, I am very, very good at the movement system in general. Now this is where you can select from everyone's rewards. For now, I'm probably going to go with the Bronco Prime receiver that came out of my relic, because I feel like the Bronco Prime is going to be a better weapon to build first than these other ones. The Paris and the Cernos are both bow-type weapons, that I don't normally play. The Orthos is a polearm type weapon, which I also normally don't play.
Well done.
So I'm going to go for the one that's more useful to me first. This is the Void Traces you retrieve from the mission, which again are how you refine Void Relics. We'll get more on that shortly. Alright, so let me leave this squad before they try to pull me into something else. Brief dialogue on just Void Traces in general. Your general target number most of the time is 100 Void Traces at a time. Because most of the time when you're refining a relic, you're making it radiant, trying to pull the rare drop out of it. There are some circumstances in which you'll make it into a flawless relic in an attempt to pull the silver drop instead. If you do want a silver drop, most of the time the most accepted method of doing that is by taking 3 or 4, at least 3 if not 4, flawless relics into a Void Fissure mission and opening that relic while it's flawless. Most of the time that's the most accepted method for the best results so far in getting silver drops out of a relic. Now, it is still RNG based, which means random number generator. And the fact that, like, for example, I've pulled gold drops out of. Let me see. I've gone all day sometimes with these radiant relics of a type, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 in a row. Could not pull a gold drop to save my life. And then I went back in with a random squad, not full of radiance, and opened just an unrefined relic of that type and pulled a gold drop. So RNG can still play with us as much as it would like to. RNG at the end of the day is what determines almost everything and stuff like this. So be prepared. Just because you take 4 radiant relics with you doesn't guarantee that you'll get a gold drop in that run. Or in the next 4, 5, or 6 runs for that matter. This is the Void Relic Refinement. Exceptional takes 25. I generally consider Exceptionals a waste of time, because if you notice the difference there and there between Exceptional and Flawless, right? There's Exceptional, there's Flawless. It's actually quite a bit of difference on the silver drop bars between Exceptional and Flawless. So we typically always go with Flawless when we're trying to get the silver drop. These I just generally consider a waste of time, because if you're going for common drop, you don't want to refine the relic at all. And if you're going for silver drop, it's still better to go with flawless, and it's better to spend more time running just intact, unrefined relics, instead of trying to do anything else to the relic to get the common drops out of it. Silver is still better for flawless, and radiant is obviously better for the gold drop with radiant relic than with either of the other two. Because the difference there to there, the difference from here to there, or there to there, as you can see, is not that great, but when you go to radiant, it's quite a bit different. That's what I was talking about. Alright, and those little bars do absolutely impact the RNG that you're given. That's a brief discourse on these relics. Now, as far as the type of missions you get more relics from, let me go see if I've opened a node of the correct type. I'm not actually going to perform this mission right now, but I will at least show you what the node looks like. Let me see, excavation. You can get them from excavation type missions. They're not my favorite to do to get them, but if you have a limbo or another frame like that, it's very, very easy to run through excavations and get relics that way. And you can get relics that way, as well as it being the only way you can farm a resource called cryotic and a few other things. So if you're multitasking something else that you need out of an excavation, that you can get relics that way as well. Exterminate, survival. You can technically get them from survival, just not generally as good drop rates. Mission type that I was looking for, I haven't unlocked one yet, I don't think. But you're actually looking for an interception type mission. Assassination. Oh, this one. This interception type mission right here. It's basically kind of like domination. For those of you that played Call of Duty or similar things that have domination type missions in them. We basically have to clear all the enemies out of 4 places around the map. and wait in those areas with one or more of your allies until it considers it quote-unquote captured, and then keep enemies out of those areas in order to keep them captured until the timer, if you will, is finished. And when that thing is, and of course, it fills up faster if you have all 4 points captured. And also having all 4 points captured will prevent the enemies from becoming filled. The enemies can technically beat you at interception missions, which will cause you to fail the mission and lose any rewards you might normally have gained. But these are the best generally for farming relics, because most of the time now the drop tables do include some other drops, so it's still possible not to get a relic out of them. But generally speaking, you'll get relic, 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 relic the first 4 missions, and from a mission like this, it would be a lith relic, a meso relic, and then a meso relic. Enemies do get exponentially harder in these missions, just as they would in a defense, a survival, or any endless type mission, and you can theoretically continue in this mission endlessly as long as you can continually complete the objective. Okay, so we've got farming farming relics, refining them, the rewards out of relics. Okay, so we got just a moment ago. Let's take a look at the difference between a regular relic and a regular weapon and a prime weapon is. So first we're going to link the Bronco, and then that Bronco Prime, which is the one that we got a piece for just a moment ago, if you guys remember. If you don't remember, I'll show you in the Foundry in just a moment. Then we're going to go with the Bronco Prime, right? Now, used to be you actually had to push L3 and then click from here to see the weapon description, but now you can actually just hover over the hyperlink and it'll pull it up like this for us. So the Bronco is a secondary weapon. It's kind of like a shotgun. Has a magazine of 2, reload speed of 1 second, critical chance of 6, status chance of 22%, semi-automatic trigger, and its highest damage is impact at 224, which if you guys remember from when we got the Strun, 224 is actually a pretty high number. Shotguns do typically have higher damage numbers. Its fall off is from 7 to 14 meters, also important to note. Now the Bronco Prime. Sorry, I get a little bit of hiccups here. Have to master rank 4 before you can purchase it or build it. We understand this. Still critical chance of 6. Status goes to 30%. Impact goes to 280. Fall off goes to 9 to 18. And what fall off means, guys, is from between 9 meters and 18 meters. Not up to 9 meters is when it's going to deal the highest amount of damage, and it's going to deal progressively less damage to 18 meters. At which point the damage will fall off to 0. It does have a magazine of 4 as well, which is double the magazine size of the regular Bronco. Very important. The bad thing is that its reload speed is also twice as long. This means that you still, with equal damage numbers, would still deal the same amount of effective DPS. Now, the fire rate here is 4.17. I don't believe we looked at the fire rate for the other one, so we'll do that as well. The fire rate here is 5. Faster fire rate, shorter reload speed, half the reload speed actually. Almost 60 less impact damage though, so I still feel like the Bronco Prime is going to give you a higher real DPS. And that is the whole point. The Prime version is better in a lot of ways than the regular version. Another weapon we'll look at very briefly, just because I want to show you this shotgun that I've talked so much about, and I mentioned when somebody else was using it earlier. And just to also point out why I can't get it yet for you guys. Remember we talked about mastery rank and mastery tests and gaining affinity and stuff like this. Its base damage, guys, is 600 radiation, which, as you guys, we were just discussing, 224 is a pretty high number. 600 is really, really high. It's a radiation type damage, which is very effective against almost every enemy in the game. The only thing that actually has a resistance to it is the infested. There's a shotgun, has a base status chance of 28%, magazine size of 10, a reload speed of 2.8 seconds, fall off of 10 to 20 meters, crit chance of 22%, accuracy of 9.1, doesn't really matter as much on shotguns, and fire rate of 1.10. That being said, you guys saw its actual spread type. That has some latent punch through because of the type of damage that it is and the type of spread that it is. For some reason, the game gives it a latent punch through, which is very useful. And then this number, via mods and stuff like that, I believe I got over 30,000 total elemental damage on my Arcaplasma on my original account. See if I can get you guys a screenshot or a clip of that, or maybe on one of my build guides I'll go through and show you how I build my Arcaplasma. and then you guys will understand what I'm talking about there. That being said, I went 10 minutes over, so that's it for this segment. I'll be right back in the next segment. What did I want to do? Archwing quest, maybe... Triple checking myself, guys. Okay, yeah, I believe we're doing the Archwing quest next. Yeah, we're going to do the Archwing quest next, because we can't quite reach that 150 enemies in a single mission. I'm going to come back with my team members to do that. So this is it for this segment, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Again, this is Skillz with ComaCloud Gaming. If you guys like my content or feel that it may be helpful to you, or was helpful to you, or maybe helpful to others, please like, subscribe, and share. And again, this is Skillz. I'll be right back.